Understandably so. I am Poop Lord and I am playing as the Sicilians in this game. Good luck, have fun. We are going to be going for the. Oh, yeah, I remember now why the good luck, have fun was funny to me. I will tell you that in just a second. We are going to go for the Sicilian Siege Tower hop into Castle Drop. A little bit more about the strategy once I introduce all of the players. This was such a fun game for me to play, and that's because Pidrow ended up getting double. Small spoiler. Pedro is so serious, and this is why I laughed when that second good luck, have fun showed up, because Pedro was like, why did you wish them good luck, have fun? Doesn't that kind of mean that you want them to win? Doesn't that mean that we would lose? And I was like, yeah, Pedro, but like, it's just something we say in Age of Empires. And he's like, yeah, but think about this, man. He is, if you don't know about Pedro, Pedro is like a really try hard, go get him kind of a dude. He always wants to get that W. He's like, Age of Empires is super serious to me, okay, guys? It's really serious. Stop doing stupid strategies. Come on. So he said, actually, and I quote this, and he can probably confirm it in the comments. He goes, well, you wouldn't wish your opponent in a duel to the death good luck, have fun, would you? And I was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't wish my opponent in a duel to the death good luck, have fun. But this isn't that serious, Pedro. This is Age of Empires. He's like, this is super serious, man. Like, think about like all the civilizations that got wiped out throughout history. Mayans aren't even a thing anymore. Man, Babylonians got destroyed. And I replied with, of course Babylonians got destroyed. They tried to go for a tower rush, but they only used one tower. Anyway, we had a lot of fun talking in the Discord, messing around as this game was going on. One more thing, talking about messing around, to give you a little bit more background on this one. I know I'm giving you kind of a big intro here, but I think it was worth mentioning. Pedro actually ended up getting stuck with Berbers because I was messing around in the lobby. I said, hey, if we get Arabia, I want to try this Korean strategy that I've been working on. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. But you're picking Koreans and it's arena. Do you want to have Koreans as arena? And I was like, no, I want to have Sicilians. So do I still have that on the screen? And he's like, yeah, you still have that. So I quickly switched it to Sicilians. I'm like, for me, it still says Koreans. Does it say Korean? Anyway, I made this whole long story, and he didn't actually get to pick a civ because I wasted so much of his time, which was quite funny for me as well. I love messing around with Pedro. Talking about messing around, the soundness in this game is going to be messing around with a very interesting strategy, playing as the Khmer. He is in the yellow. Plus, we'll also be messing around with a very, very standard strategy, if I'm being completely honest, for Burgundians. I wonder if he's going to go knights, or cavalier in Castle Age. Just saying, playing as the red. It is a very, very strong strat. I will give him that. Talking about very strong strats, I felt like the strat that I was going for, actually from what I've seen, is pretty solid as well. And the reason that I say that this is quite a solid strategy is because I've had a pretty good success rate with this in 1v1. Now, what we do in this particular strategy is we go for 26 pop up to feudal age, and once we are in feudal age, we are going to build one villager and loom. We're going to take a whole bunch of food in the beginning. Then once we go to feudal, we're going to have 3 or 4 on gold, and then once we go to castle, we just plop down 10 on stone, and that should give us the required resources in castle to construct a siege workshop, which is 200 wood, to construct a siege tower, which is another 200 wood and a whole bunch of gold, and 650 stone. Then we're going to ride 10 villagers that were on stone over to our opponents, and we're going to drop it into their base. Now, you have to be able to adapt, and in this game I will talk about how I adapted based on what was going on. The reason that this strategy works so well is for the following 2 reasons. Castles and town centers construct 100% faster. When you have 10 Sicilian villagers in your base, it's like having 20 Sicilian villagers constructing that castle. So you can really get that on their eco. I was messing this up when I was first trying it out, kind of dropping it near the outer edge. But no, you can drop that right on their starting TC and it can be absolutely detrimental. Another thing that really helps this strategy is their unique units. Sergeants are not great, but they are good ground units that can do a whole bunch of harassing from the castle, and they are relatively cheap to do so. In this strategy, you're not going to be building a barracks, and you're not going to be building a stable or an archery range. So having this unit from the castle is actually quite favorable, which is also the reason that I was doing this with Goths. Alright, I think we talked about all the things that we needed to talk about in this particular matchup. I'm going to give Yellow a little tickle over here, so I touched him over there. Now, I did notice almost immediately that Red Scout was over here. And I told you previously that we thought that Pidrow was going to get doubled. And both scouts, this is a clear indication to me. Pidrow's like, both scouts are at my base. Should I be worried? I'm like, yeah, you should definitely be worried. Because Khmer can do one of two things. One, Khmer can go for a super fast uptime and boom. Or Khmer can go for a super fast uptime and either get the relics, which I did in the relic video heist. But that doesn't make a lot of sense because his ally is Burgundians, which will not get the bonus from collecting additional relics. Or another option that Khmer could do is they could go for some very, very early aggression. Look, they're even trying to get Pidrow's scout in this particular situation. So I think I come over with my scout at a certain point. Yep, I do come over and I start to help Pidrow out wherever I can. Ooh, that villager was super weak because of the crocodile. I thought Pidrow had done a whole bunch of damage to that villager. Also, I felt like an absolute hero in this particular game. We are now all up the castle. Oh, that scout did survive. But that being said, okay, so Pidrow is signaling me over here. Oh, okay, there's a scout here and there's a siege workshop going up on my face. Now, we are in Castle Age already. We might as well snipe that scout, but no, we see the weak villager, 1 HP. Oh, Mister! Come on! That would have been a great sniperoni if I could have gotten that. And that scout is also super duper weak. And snipe that scout, and now Red Scout's gonna go over here, and this is such a good bonus to have. The Khmer jumping in a house, and Yellow is utilizing this for sure, even walling in my scout so he can't get to that villager even if I wanted to. I thought I was going to get a vill pick, but really good use of that strategy. I have delayed the siege workshop, and this is allowing Pidrow to get a second layer of walls behind his base. Meanwhile, we have a whole bunch of stone. We are constructing that siege tower, and we are going to drop as many of those villagers into that siege tower as we can. Now, one thing that I've done from getting this, or from doing this strategy, I should say, is been getting fletching like you just saw coming in, and I've also been trying to get bodkin arrow as quickly as possible. That way, when I drop those castles are even more effective. I could also go for like melee defense for my sergeants or something like that, but I think the additional range, the castle is what's really going to be doing the damage. And oh, come on. So I'm like, you know what? No, you guys move. Get out of the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. This siege tower is coming through, and sure enough, Pidrow is starting to get doubled by our opponent. He said there were knights here, and there were scouts here. He's walling behind. He's making a secondary layer, but these rams are going to be getting through pretty dang quick. So it's up to me at this point, since he's getting doubled, to do as much damage to red and yellow as possible. I need to be putting out equal or larger amounts of damage onto them than they are putting out onto Pidrow. Which is not an easy task, to be honest. This is about 2k team game elo, and I'm like, oh. Shh. You gotta be very quiet here. We hunting rabbits. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if he spotted me at this point. Maybe just go away a little bit from these stables. But even with those knights here, I feel pretty good that I can get this up. Now the problem is, I don't know. I was literally bricks right there. So we quickly just clicked that up, but he was just passing. He's probably looking forward to see if there's a hole, and it did have just created a hole, and whether or not he could get into Pidrow's eco or not. That villager is a goner, by the way. That's a nice little pick off for him. Onagers, and this goes up, and these villagers, these 5 villagers, are all now goners as well, because what can they really do? I can produce some sergeants, and I can get these guys off of my base, and in addition, I'm going to try and keep the sergeant alive and have that knight be fired upon by the arrows. Click that knight, please. Click, yep, there we go. So that's already great value, because the knight is more expensive than the sergeant, so I'm already doing a whole bunch of damage to red. That TC is eventually going to go down. I just gotta make sure that this base is cleared. Another reason that I really love sergeants coming out of the castle, if they do go for rams, you can really do some good damage with those sergeants to those rams. Pidrow is getting, oh my goodness, Pidrow, what did you do? Why did you go for camel archers? I don't think camel archers was actually the best. I think regular camels would have been great. Camel archers absolutely die to Khmer scorpions. So I don't know if I've done more damage to red than yellow and red have done to Pidrow. I don't think so, to be honest with you. So I need to be booming behind over here. But you know what? We're not going to do none of that. We should be booming behind. But I think to myself, you know what? You mess with Pidrow? You mess with me. Yellow, your scorpions mean that you have nothing at home. So we actually decide to fill up that same siege tower that we had before. We had collected additional stone. And the reason I collected the additional stone in this particular game is because I knew that Pidrow was going to get doubled. As soon as I saw that siege workshop, I was like, oh, he's getting doubled. We should leave them on stone. You are able to collect 2 castles worth of stone if you don't build additional TCs, and we're going to drop this across the map. Meanwhile, red's still having to deal with this. We have sergeants running around, making it really, really awkward for him. Just trying to deny this siege workshop as long as we can. We don't want any rams coming out. And it's just awkward for red because he wants to be sending his military forward to try and kill Pidrow already. But he can't, because he has to deal with whatever is going on at home. And these villagers are working now. I mean, they're collecting wood. It's not perfect. I would much rather have them collect gold or stone, but it's something. Meanwhile, moonwalking! Moonwalk on these fools. That's what I'm talking about. Moonwalking Siege Tower is in the house, and he's gonna be dropping right on that Khmer player, and I knew it. You know, like when somebody is going for a double siege workshop at the front, and oh, that's a lot of rams. Needs to hop these up. Another reason why I like camels, because you can engage against this much easier. Drop out these villagers, 10 villagers, figure out where that TC is, or at least I see farms, and we decide this is the spot. And I don't think yellow even notices it because he's so occupied at home. But look at how quickly this goes up. It's just that fast. And 1, 2, 3. Are we going to get all of these villagers in the front over here? Yeah, it does look like we do get every single one of these vills. So quick. So disgusting. Siege workshop. Gonna start pushing. Gonna start destroying everything in yellow's base over here. Meanwhile, we're still trying to administer pressure over here. We did get that siege workshop with a ram. We lost that sergeant over there, and a whole bunch of other sergeants have bitten the dust just because we can't micro everything. But most important here is that we take out this ram so that our castle is not threatened. It is quite difficult to deal with Sicilian castles with castle age units. I don't think rams are really, and we get another vill kill there, are really super viable against Sicilians. And the reason I say that, as we have our own little choo-choo going down over here. I don't know why I didn't just take down these production buildings. I noticed this much later. I must have misclicked. Oh, okay. I think I saw the castle going up, and I wanted to deny that castle, but there's not enough sergeants here to keep that safe. Also, I'm trying to do some damage over here. Actually, at this point, I was thinking to myself, I could build town centers in my opponent's bases, and then I could transition into First Crusade, which would be really awesome as well. Meanwhile, Pidrow, he's getting absolutely wreck-a-ronied. I guess he has a really nice base in the back over here. Oh, poor Pidrow, man. Poor Pidrow in this game. I think camels would have definitely been the play against the composition that red and yellow have. Have I at this point done more damage to yellow and red than they have done to Pidrow? I would say collectively, yes. I have the highest number of villagers due to what I did. Now 10 of those villagers are, and that castle goes up, so this kind of stops my push on red's base, but I think I can actually wipe out yellow completely. It looks like he doesn't have a whole bunch of villagers anymore. 19 villagers, and I think 17 of them are here, and probably 2 of them are forward. He has to run, tries to construct a town center over here. I don't think I quite realized that, to be honest with you. No, I am looking around for where he is with this sergeant, and I'm like, where is this dude? Where are all of his villagers? And now, actually, yellow is probably just as bad off as Pidrow. Pidrow has, 18 villagers, 20 villagers working at home as well. So, yellow and Pidrow, the only thing that yellow is going for him is this whole bunch of army over here. But these knights could actually go in there and start sniping these scorpions, which I think they will actually start to do. Meanwhile, this castle was absolutely denied. This castle wasn't denied. That push was denied for me, and that's okay. You know, we were focused other places. That's the excuse I'm going to use. Oh my god, these 2 knights did so much work. So we did realize that this was happening over here, so we're going to garrison inside here. And the idea is that if red comes over and we get First Crusade, we could pump out a whole bunch of these sergeant boys, and then we could do some damage. I didn't even get upgrades. My eco was not strong enough to get a whole bunch of upgrades on them. We're just pumping out villagers from free TCs. 2 of those TCs are in my opponent's base. The 3rd one is at home, and I think I am outpacing red. That was my biggest concern. I'm outpacing him by about 10 villagers at this point. The score is getting worse and worse and worse. Also, yellow's going to have a really, really tough time booming back into this game. The Rams come in, and yellow is dead. He's absolutely dead, and at this point, red throws the towel in the ring. We kind of have a stalemate going on over here because of this castle, although I guess I could have harassed this area a little bit better. And red also says, GG, no re, and that is the game. Really fun game to play. It's not very often that you get to do the Sicilian Siege Tower hop on 2 players. Really happy that I got to keep that siege tower alive. Oftentimes a scout finds it and then slowly but surely whittles it down, so I normally just send it back home just to keep it safe. But in this situation, I knew that I was going to need enough stone for a second castle. With that, let's take a quick look at the statistics. Really good KD, and oh my goodness, look at the amount of buildings raised from me. Those rams, I'm a very big fan. It's something I've changed about this strategy. I didn't used to drop a siege workshop in my opponent's base because it seems like kind of a waste. You already have a siege workshop at your home. Why would you drop another one? But the more I play this strategy, the more I like the additional siege workshop in the opponent's base to put on even more pressure, because you have the sergeants that can do that on the ground keep the rams safe damage, and then you have the rams that can do a whole bunch of damage to the buildings surrounding your castle very easily, because the castle fire is keeping everything nice and safe. Just something to think about. Obviously, you can do your own variation on this strategy, but it was a lot of fun for me to play. That's for sure. Now, I have no idea why this is the way it is, but I'm pretty sure soundness is over here and Pidrow is down below over here, and this is Pidrow's timeline and this is soundness's timeline. I don't know why this is like this, but it is what it is. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for walking. I really do appreciate it. Keep walking, keep having fun, keep enjoying Age of Empires.